Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the full council. I am Councillor Billy Drummond, Chairman of West Berkshire Council. The meeting is being live streamed via YouTube, so members of the public are able to follow proceedings. Council members are present in the council chamber for the meeting. Any member of council who are in attendance remotely will be entitled to speak and ask questions when invited to do so by myself. The officers in attendance are Interim Executive Director for Resources and Monitoring Officer, Sarah Clark, the Executive Director for Adult Social Care, Paul Cole, the Executive Director for Children and Family Services, Anne-Marie Dodds, and the Executive Member for Director of Police, Claire Lawrence. Sharon Amore, Legal Manager, will be the Legal Advisor to the meeting. Welcome, Sharon, to your first meeting. I'm assisted by Ben Ryan, the clerk to the meeting, and by Sam Shiverton, who will be the Zoom host. Welcome to Aldermen in attendance. Before we start this evening's meeting, I'd like to take the opportunity to remind members that we are subject to the Council's Code of Conduct, which requires us to uphold certain standards, including, importantly, respect. Members across the chamber may not always agree with one another, but I would ask that our disagreements, we endeavour to always be respectful to others' views. I would also like to ask members of the public attending this meeting, do not interrupt or speak outside your designated speaking slots. Also, please refrain from approaching councillors unless you're invited to do so. During the meeting, when a motion has been proposed and seconded, I will ask the monitoring officer to conduct a vote, a show of hands. I would like now to extend a special welcome to our most recently appointed councillor, Councillor Tom McCann. Congratulations on becoming a West Berkshire councillor, and we look forward to working alongside you in the future. Welcome, Councillor McCann. Moving on to agenda item 1, apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chairman. We've got quite a few apologies tonight. So we've got apologies from councillors Benningworth, Coyle, Digg, Aloco, Stewart, Sumner and Shakespeare. And also apologies from Honorary Alderman Choppin, Cole, Graham Jones, Rick Jones, Linden, Pask, Locke and Bryant. Are there any other apologies from the floor? No.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 2, declaration of interest. I will ask the monitoring officer if there are any declarations of interest submitted prior to the meeting and if there are any declarations from the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I've had no apologies sent to me. No declarations sent to me already, so I don't know if there's any from the floor.
Right. Moving on to agenda item 3, the appointment of head of paid services. This is going to be a long one, so get ready for it. May I invite Councillor Jeff Brooks to formally move the recommendations contained within the report?
Happy so to do, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Does that find a seconder?
It does, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor McKinnon. Do you wish to reserve your rights? Thank you. I may invite Councillor Jeff Brooks to introduce the report.
Chairman, in this part 1 aspect of the meeting, I won't say too much, except we need to appoint a chief executive and head of paid service, and that's what we're here to do tonight. I'm delighted that we've had a candidate who is appointable, which we'll move into in part 2. We've been without a full-time chief executive since November, and so we undertook an advertising campaign a couple of months ago. We had 34 candidates apply. We deemed 5 of them to be shortlistable and therefore to be interviewed. There were some others, good ones, but they didn't quite come into interview. And we had conducted those interviews earlier this week. 4 people were interviewed because one of the 5 dropped out. This often happens within a recruitment process. Those interviews took place on Monday and Tuesday of this week. There were a number of external stakeholder panels. Well, one external stakeholder panel on Monday with people like the ICB represented, Greenham Common Trust. There was also the EDs who were able to meet the candidates, which is appropriate. They weren't exactly interviewing their new boss, but they were certainly being able to field questions to those candidates. I also introduced a member stakeholder panel, which enabled other members to converse and discuss the candidates and their merits. And that took place on Monday. I know the vice chair was involved. I know Councillor Abbs was involved and several others. And so I added that in as something of a response to Councillor Abbs when we appointed the interim chief executive. And he said, should there be more members on the interview panel? And I thought, well, we'll do a separate member engagement. And that took place on Monday. It gave another perspective to the interview panel the next day. That then met, and during the course of Tuesday, we came to a conclusion, one that we're delighted with, but I'll keep my powder dry for the part 2 item when we do the big reveal. Thank you.
Right, I'd like to open this up to the floor, but I'd like to, I'd like to open this up to the floor, but I'd like to quickly move on to going into part 2 if nobody's got any questions. Right, Councillor Brooks, Bowick, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not, I hope this is in order, but I just want to pass some comments on the process that was undertaken, which I participated in as a member of the final selection panel. I just want to commend everybody involved, officers, members, and the participants for the way in which the process, really important process, critical to the success of the council, was conducted. And I can say with absolute certainty that I'm very satisfied with the outcome and look forward to the reveal. Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Jeffries.
Not words that I often say, but for Councillor Burke, concur.
Thank you. Anybody else? Right, we'll move on to part 2. At the discussion of this appendix, we'll likely to disclose.
Chairman. That's not how it should go, sir.
All right.
I think the seconder in part 1.
So,
should be called,
yeah.
and then I can sum up in part 1 in the time-honoured way.
All right.
And forgive me.
All right.
I know I
Councillor
tend to.
McKinnon. Councillor McKinnon, sorry.
No apology required, Chairman. Thank you very much. Thank you, Leader, for that introduction. And yeah, I agree entirely with Councillor Bowick. From a Conservative Group point of view, we've been completely satisfied with the process as been conducted. We've been involved to a very good extent. Like my colleagues who've spoken already, I don't want to say too much about the successful candidate, but Councillor Bruce is quite right. It's very important that we do have an appointable chief executive, and one who I think is going to hopefully be able to hit the ground running. It's really important. There's a big agenda that the administration has, some of which we agree with, some of which we don't. But it's important that as the administration, they're able to implement that to the best of their abilities. And that involves having a chief executive who's respected, who is enthusiastic, who's dynamic. And I'm very satisfied that we have that. So thank you to the Leader. Thank you, Chairman. I will leave my comments there until part 2.
Thank you very much. Councillor Brooks.
Yes, and I just wanted to thank both Councillor Bowick and Councillor McKinnon for their support of the process and how we've ended up where we are. But a lot more in part 2 about the candidate and what we're going to do next in terms of hitting that ground running. Thank you.
Thank you. Now moving on to exclusion of press and public. At the discussion of this appendix, we're likely to disclose exempt information as described in paragraph 1, 2 and 3 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972. I move the motion to exclude the press and public. Is that seconded?
Seconded, Chairman.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. I can check the votes.
Okay, can I have all in favour of that proposal to exclude the press and public? Any against? Okay, so that motion is carried. I don't believe there's any public or press in the actual council chamber, but we'll stop the live stream.
I will now invite members to